हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Welcome to all the devotees to our weekly Bhakti Vaibhav classes. So since Prabhuji class was going on, I was waiting for the class to get over. So we are a little late. So we are on board. So the last week we were discussing from chapter 6 about how the Supreme Lord, in order to facilitate the service of the elemental devatas, the 14 elemental devatas who pray to Lord Vishnu, saying that, "My dear Lord, you have created us with some purpose in mind. Please let us know what is that, and also give us the knowledge, the empowerment, the energy to do the same, so that we can serve you in a meaningful way." Then, in order to facilitate their services, the Supreme Lord, entering into all the 24 elements or 23 elements, as it is mentioned in the beginning of the 6th chapter, as Bibri Shakti, cohesive energy, combined all the elements together, and from that combination created unlimited universes. Okay? uh, Keeping all the living entities in the seed form within the universal shells. Basically, the universal shells, Brahmandas, are formed, which were floating on the Karana ocean for almost 1000 celestial years. And then, as lifeless, then in order to bring life to these dead universes, Karanodakshaya Vishnu, expanding as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, entered into each and every universe as its Paramatma. After Garbhodakshaya Vishnu entered into each and every universe, previously in second canto 10th chapter, it was mentioned that Lord wanted to take rest. So he created water and filled the lower half of the universe that became known as Garbhodaka ocean. And the upper half is filled with ether and air. And then Lord went deep inside the water and began to take rest. While he was taking rest, in order to further the creation, he manifested the subtle universal form. So here in this chapter 6, there is a description about the manifestation of the subtle universal form. Later on in the 8th chapter and 10th chapter, we will see how this subtle universal form took the shape of gross universal form eventually. So the subtle universal form consists of three divisions: one Atma Shakti, one Jiva Shakti, 10 Prana Shaktis, and 3 Atma Shaktis. So this chapter talks about how these energies are manifested. So if you see here, in relation to one Jiva Shakti, what Jiva Shakti means, Atma in its nature is all one, Sachidananda Swarupa only. That Atma, having entered into material world, might have categories, but Jiva Shakti is one only. So that one Jiva Shakti primarily has been divided into three divisions: the Devatas, the human beings, and the Asuras and Rakshasas. The human beings with all the other lower species which assist the human beings in their survival, they are all grouped as one category. The Devatas are Devatas, Gandharvas, Kinnaras, Kimpurushas, those who are in the mode of goodness, looking after the welfare of the entire universe, they are considered in one group. The Asuras and Rakshasas, who are in the mode of Tamoguna, are grouped in one group. So, like the three groups are there in Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And for these people to stay within the universe, three different places also manifested from the subtle universal form. The place where Satvaguni Devatas are residing is called Swargaloka or Bhurloka. The place where Tamoguni Asuras and Rakshasas are residing is called as a section of Bhurloka and Vilaswargas. The place where the human beings, along with their cooperative living entities, they are living, is called Rajoguni Bhurloka. The people, the places have been subtly manifested, not grassly. As of now, everything is manifesting subtly only. Okay, this is for you, this is for you, like that allocation is happened, establishment to take place. And then the 10 Prana Shakti. Prana Shakti means Kriya Shakti. Kriya Shakti means action. So all these people, the three category of people in Sattaguna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna perform activities at their respective places. But Bhagavatam is not talking about the activities of the devatas and asuras, etc. It is only talking about the activities of the human beings in Bhuloka. Because we are human beings living in Bhuloka, so we need to know about people around us. So the activities of the human beings in Bhuloka are also further sub-categorized according to the modes. The activities in the mode of goodness are called Brahmanical activities. The activities in the mode of passion and goodness are called Kshatriya activities. The activities in the mode of passion and ignorance are called Vaishya activities. The activities in the mode of ignorance are called Shudra activities. So, like that, the activities, the communities, and their services, their principal responsibilities are also indicated at the manifestation of 10 prana shaktis. And then, at the manifestation of 3 atma shaktis, the subtle universal form has appeared. Because there are 14 devatas, for each devata there should be some service. So for each devata there is a department has been created. So that department contains 3 divisions: Adhyatma, Adibhuta, and Adidaiva. First of all, Adibhuta is created when the universal form, within the universal form in the grass mouth as manifested, like Adibhuta. And the Devata Agni entered with the Devata Agni is Adi Daiva, entered with the subtle sense organ Adhyatma into the mouth of the universal form Adibhuta, so that the mouth of the universal form can speak something. Go. There is a grass mouth is there. There is a subtle sense organ called voice mechanism is there, and there is a Devata who is supervising this entire activity, Agni. Because of these 3 people, the universal form and all of us, the universal form is nothing but the combination of all of us. The subtle universal form is called as Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha means the sum total of all the jivas who will be living in this universe. So when the universal form is speaking means all of us are speaking. Just like India spoke, that means that is the opinion of each and every Indian, something like that. When universal form speaks means each and every living human being or living entity speaks in the universe, speaks in that universe. So something like that. So like that, the Adi Bhuta is the gross organ within our human body, and Adi Atma is the subtle sensory mechanism which actually transmits or which enlivens that gross organ to perform a certain activity. For example, in the case of eyes, there is a grass eye known as Akshni, the grass eyeball, fleshy eyeball. So that is like the mirror, that is like the concave mirror or convex mirror. It sees the object and gets the information on the retina of the eye, but that information is carried from the eyeball to the heart, where the intelligence is situated. That sensory mechanism is called chakshu, the subtle sense organ. That is adhyatma. And this entire the capturing the information on the eyeball and transmission of the information from eyeball to the heart. This entire thing is happening under the supervision of the Adi Daiva, the Devata of the eye sense, that is Surya. So all these 3 put together are enabling us to see some object that is there in front of us and understand what is that object. So something like that. So like that, there are 14 senses, 5 jnanendriyas, 5 karmendriyas, the 4 antakaranas, man, buddhi, ahankara, chetana. How these 14 elements are 14 sense devatas are enabled to function their respective functions is also explained by manifesting this subtle universal form. So this universal form concept is explained again and again in the Bhagavatam so that all of us will understand it clearly. Because though it is the one universal form, it has multiple functions to perform. So all the different functions are explained at different places. Though apparently they seems to be same, but they are same in one sense. But even though it is one same function, but it has different aspects. All those aspects directly or indirectly are kind of integrated by describing them separately in different chapters. Second canto talked about same universal form is talked about in second canto 6th chapter, second canto 10th chapter. Now we are discussing, and also there will be another explanation of the same universal form in the the 26th chapter later on in the same third canto. This is repeated because it is so important for us to understand. So like that. So this is what we discussed in the previous class. So now today we'll continue some of the concluding words spoken by our Maitreya Rishi, and then Vidura will ask some questions in the next chapter, that is chapter 7, and Maitreya will answer some of the questions, and then Vidura will ask more questions, and Maitreya will answer those more questions one after the other in the respective third canto and the fourth canto. And later on, which are not answered by Maitreya, Sri Sukadeva Goswami will answer in the upcoming cantos, cantos 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like that. So that is the progression of this particular chapters. So I hope all the devotees are here. So any questions based on the previous discussions and just summary?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
Prabhuji.
प्रीवियसली आपने जो बताए थे जो यूनिवर्सल फॉर्म के जो मुख के अंदर जब अग्नि देवता जब जाते हैं तो वो बोलने, हाँ, तभी जो है तभी से वो बोलने का शक्ति आती है। जब आंख के अंदर वो सूर्य सूर्य जब जाते हैं तभी देखने का, जब वो एक्टिवेट होते हैं, वो मतलब इसका मतलब वो यूनिवर्सल फॉर्म पहले से एक्टिवेट नहीं थे प्रभु जी, वो कैसे समझ सकते हैं इसको? मतलब देवता लोग जब जाते हैं उनके
No, अभी तक वो गया
ऑर्गन्स
है
के
नहीं,
अंदर।
वो जाएगा. See, it is said that he will go, मतलब certainly he has gone there. It has been allocated for him. अभी तक sun god का gross body not yet formed. Sun god Atma is there. The gross body will manifest in 10th chapter. So later, so for example, when the temple is constructed, so in the while construction, the different rooms are constructed, saying that okay, this room is for temple president, this room is a conference hall, this room is secretary.
रेप्लिक
Okay, your planning is made na, when building construction is happening. So before building construction, there is a planning, there is a drawing, there is a conception. That is what is happening now.
अच्छा, ओके प्रभु जी।
So because that facility is provided so that they will do their service. If facility is not there, where they will do? Will they sit on the roadside and do the service?
नो,
Something like that you have to understand.
थैंक यू प्रभु जी।
So basically, now the subtle mechanism is set up. So later on, the person will come and execute the action. So it is like that. It is like the programming is getting done. So later on, when the hardware is there, where you install the program and then operate, system will function as expected. So something like that. Other devotees?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, I'm like getting confused between the Jiva Shakti and Atma Shakti. Usually we call Jiva Shakti as only Atma Shakti, but here we say that Atma Shakti is used for these elements called Adhyatmak, Adi Devik and Atmotik. So I'm just trying to understand what are these like. Are there means personified form or like what are just the department or like not able to understand this three Atma Shaktis.
So here, hai na, see, the divisions are there. Just now I also explained. One is called Adi Bhuta. This is Adhyatma. This is Adi Daiva. See here, Adhyatma, Adi Daiva, and Adi Bhuta. So see, Atma, generally we may attribute it to Jiva, soul. But the same Atma Sanskrit word is used for many other things also. Atma is used for the mind, Atma is used for the consciousness, Atma is used for intelligence, Atma is used for gross body, subtle body. So Atma is one word, has multiple meanings. So according to the context, we have to understand. So what is the meaning of the word Atma? Not that there is only black and white meaning. In Sanskrit, na, every word has multiple meanings.
But
So it is like that.
on all the case, Atma used to indicate the self because when we say the Atma is a mind, so we actually identify self with the mind.
Okay, but here also same thing, na. When it is called Adhyatma, when we are identifying with the subtle body, so that is our Atma. This is Adi Bhuta and Adi Daiva and Adi Bhuta. So it's basically, so don't worry about why Atma is being used like that. It is used like that. In this chapter only, it is used like that. Not everywhere. Not all over the Bhagavatam it is said like that. Daiva Bhutatma Shaktita. So Sukadeva Goswami is using like that. Or Vasudev is writing like that. We don't know what is the reason, whether it is to match the grammatical requirement or they are using it like that. The technical reason I don't know, but it is used. So in that, because out of according to the context, it can be used because Atma has multiple meanings. So in that way, it fits in.
So actually, the gross organs are called Adibhuta and the subtle organ are called Adhyatma.
Yes.
And sense devata is Adideva.
Because since Devata is Adi Deva, because they are Devatas, so Adi Deva. Adi Bhuta, because that is made up of the Pancha Mahabhutas. The gross organ, the mouth, hands, legs, everything is made up of flesh, earth, water, fire, and ether. That's why it is called Adi Bhuta. And the subtle senses are made up of Adhyatma. Because they are subtle, they are compared to Atma because Atma is also subtle. So subtle senses are also subtle. So in that way, our identity is mostly with subtle body. So in that way, it is called Adhyatma.
So you mean to say that the subtle universal form is also maintained the gross organ and subtle organ and sense devata.
Yes.
And this subtle universal form is the same as inner Hiranyagarbha,
Yeah.
or
The
it's a
subtle
different.
universal form's technical name is Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha means the combination of all the living entities who are living in the entire universe. The
So this
gross universal form is called as Vairaja, about which we will be going to discuss later in the 8th chapter and 10th chapters. That time Vairaja will come.
so these are all are considered to be the body of Brahma, right?
No, why body of Brahma? We can say they are considered to be body of Brahma. Later on we'll discuss why it is and how it is. But Brahma himself has a separate body. It is considered to be body of Brahma, just like Srila Prabhupada when he says that the ISKCON temples are my body. It's like the Brahma's kshetra, the field of his operation is within the entire universe. So from that point of view, it is considered to be the body of Brahma. The body means here it is not like the gross body, subtle body. The body means where his influence can be exercised.
Okay.
So
And
it's like that.
this creation which we are discussing, it is the very first creation before the Garbhodaksha Vishnu was manifested. Like we hear in second canto the creation. This is the daily creation which Brahma does, right? And this is the
No,
very
we have
first.
not gone to Brahma's creation. अभी तक ब्रह्मा जी पैदा हुआ नहीं. अभी ब्रह्मा जी का क्रिएशन कहाँ से आ गया आपका?
नहीं नहीं, सेकंड कैंटो में था ना वो.
Forget about second canto. Now we are discussing third canto. Focus on here. Don't mix here and there. In second canto, it gives a summary of everything. Here in third canto, we are going through details. We are getting into more details.
Yeah.
Second
So,
canto is like the introduction to the entire Bhagavatam. Canto 3 onwards, the 10 topics are elaborately explained. Everything explained in detail.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
I
Don't
just
jumble here and there.
just trying to understand that, like when the create their daily creation happened, and this I think this is the original creation which happens only at the beginning of the universe, which was created, right?
Yes. Abhi tak we never mentioned about this is Brahma's creation or something like that. So you follow our discussion. Don't try to jumble here and there.
Okay, so this is the first very best creation where 14 element data as just appeared, and they are praying
Hmm.
to Vishnu, and the subtle universal form has been just manifested.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
Garbhodaksha Vishnu entered the universe and subtle universe he just manifested. Matlab he created the plan. What kind of universe you want to create? That plan he made.
It's just a blueprint of universe.
Yes. It is just a blueprint of the temple construction or universal construction. The construction will take place later on in the 8th chapter, not even 8th chapter, I think in the 10th chapter, Brahma will do the construction.
Okay.
So don't jump here and there to second canto and all. When we are discussing third canto, focus here. What's happening? Follow the storyline. If you jumble na, you get confused.
Sure, Babu. Thank you.
So as I was again mentioning many times, this is subtle universal form. That means the concept is getting ready. It is like while constructing the temple, we allocate. Okay, here we need to have a temple hall. Here we need to have auditorium. Here we need to have kitchen. Here we need to have serving area. Here we need to have administrative office. Here we need to have accounts office. Here we need to have president's meeting room, conference hall. This that everything is allocated so that later on when the temple is ready, when people are there everywhere, they will do their respective services within the given facilities. When there is no facilities allocated, it is a chaos. No one knows what to do. So it is like that. It is the organization chart. So, so with this, if this organization is properly done, then the maintenance will be done very smoothly. The activity will be done very smoothly. Like every Sunday program now, some of you are in the temple. There is a lot of management activity also behind that. There is a queue system from where the people will come and take darshan and go. When Bhagavatam class is going on, so that the class will not be disturbed. The darshan queue will be at different place. Before Bhagavatam class, it will be different place. So then after that, prasadam serving queue is different. Where they will take prasadam, where they will go to deposit the plates and wash hands, and then from there they will exit. So that there is a proper organization, so that things will happen without chaos. So like that. Other devotees? Okay, fine. So we'll go ahead. So like that, Maitreya Rishi explained how these three divisions, Atma Shakti, Jiva Shakti, and Prana Shaktis have manifested. And then he is going to conclude his words. Text number 34, someone can unmute and repeat after me. Ete varna swadharmena
एते वर्णा स्वधर्मेण
yajanti swagurum harim
यजन्ति स्वगुरुं हरिं
श्रद्धयात्मा विशुद्ध्यर्थम
श्रद्धयात्मा विशुद्ध्या अर्थं
यज्जातः सह वृत्तिभिः
यज्जतः सह प्रीतिः. Translation: all different social divisions are born with their occupational duties and living conditions. For the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thus for unconditional life and self-realization, one has to worship the Supreme Lord under the direction of spiritual master.
Yeah. So here Maitreya Muni is telling that all these varnas who appeared along with their occupations from the universal form faithfully worship the Lord as their Guru by performing their duties for the purpose of purification. So why Lord had created these varnas and their duties, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, especially in Bhuloka, with their specific duties, Brahmanas are come with Vedic wisdom to teach and spread the knowledge of the Vedas. The Kshatriyas have come with the power of protection to protect other varnas from the troublesome aggressors. The Vaishyas have come with different occupations such as farming and cow protection and trading, business, etc. The Shudras have come with the service attitude for accomplishing the perfection of Varnashrama, something like that. So many things. How and why? The purpose is to worship the Supreme Lord, by which they attain ultimate perfection. Otherwise, what is the need of creating all these divisions known as Varnas and Ashramas? Says in Bhagavad Gita. Chaturvarna Maya Srishtam Gunakarma Vibhagasha. The only purpose is by which they can serve the Lord in a regulated way, and with the thorough purification of the heart, they eventually attain the Lord in the spiritual world. That is the only purpose. The Varnas appeared along with their occupations. Thus, in worshipping the Lord, one should not be worried about obtaining one's livelihood. Sectionally, we may think that the duties of Varnas and Ashramas are meant for our livelihood. Livelihood is a byproduct. But the main purpose of the creation of the divisions of Varnas and Ashramas is the purification of our existence. By executing controlled activities by following certain rules and regulations. The purification of our existence is the primary goal of practicing Varnashram duties, not for livelihood, not for some organization society. These are all byproducts, the secondary benefits. So like that. Dharma swanushrita pumsha vishaksena katasuya na utpadaya tidratim shramayevahi kevalam. It is clearly mentioned here 1 to 8. Varnashram dharma of the human being, which does not produce attraction for the topics of the Lord, is only a wasted time. So we are practicing Varnashram duties, but if the activities are not culminating in Rati for the Supreme Lord, then all the duties are simply waste. By executing the duties, we may have a good organization, proper, systematic organization, everything is nice, everyone is living prosperously. What is the use? If all these organized Varnashram duties does not produce Rati for the Supreme Lord, they are simply waste of time. They are not meant to create an organization or prosperity or regulated lifestyle. They are meant to create the purification of the heart and attraction, to develop the attraction toward the Supreme Lord. Ata pumbir dvijashreshta varnashtama vibhagasha swanushitasa dharmase samsiddhim haritoshanam. The complete perfection of varnashtama dharma, according to the different divisions of varnas and ashramas by men, is pleasing the Lord. Purpose of executing these dharmas and ashramas is, dharmas of varnas and ashramas is to please Lord Vishnu, not anything else. All other things are secondary benefits. Varnashramacharvata pumshena parapuman, Varnashramacharvata pumshena parapuman, Vishnur aradyate panta na anyat tattosha karanam. Other than worshipping Lord Vishnu, there is no other reason for creating these divisions. This is mentioned in the Vishnu Purana. Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse again and again many times. So it is like that. The universal form also has created with so many divisions, so much organization. For what purpose? For purification of our heart, for engaging ourselves in service of the Supreme Lord, and hence the Lord Vishnu is pleased, and hence we can go back to Godhead. That is the purpose of this entire organization. Otherwise, there is no need of this entire organization. So it is like that. So text number 35. Etat kshattar bhagavato
एतच्चत्तर भगवतो
Daiva karmatma rupinah
दैव कर्मात रूपिणः
का श्रद्धदयाद उपाकर्तुम
का श्रद्धया उपाकर्तुं
योगमाया बलोदयम्.
योगमाया बलोदयम्. O Vidura, who can estimate or measure the transcendental time, work and potency of the Gangetic form manifested by the internal potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Hare Krishna.
As we just mentioned, though the universal form is one, but it has many aspects to it. So Maitreya Muni says that no, I can't describe everything about the universal form. It is very difficult. I've only addressed a small portion of that. Oh Vidura, who can hope to describe fully this universal form which arose from Lord's Yogamaya Balodayam, and whose nature is time and karma, Daiva Karmatma Rupinaha. Previously, also somebody asked, hey, this universal form is illusory, made up of Maya, etc. etc. But this verse, Maitreya Muni says that Yogamaya Balodayam. It appeared from the strength of Yogamaya, and whose form is made up of time and karma. Daiva Karmatma Rupinaha. It is time which instigates all our activities. It is by the execution of activities, the universe continues to proceed further. That's what, na? The Devatas wanted to do some service to the Supreme Lord. So, in order to facilitate the service of the Devatas unto Supreme Lord, the Lord manifested this universal form. So, they are going to perform various activities in this universe, which are governed in three divisions: past, present, and future, by time, by the influence of time. So, like that, that's why it is made up of Daiva Karmatma Rupinaha. So one meaning is it is made up, it has the nature of time and karma. The other thing is that it has three divisions: Daiva, Karma, and Atma. Like previously, three Shaktis were there, na? What was that? Atma Shakti, Jiva Shakti, and Prana Shakti. So Karma is Prana Shakti, Atma is Atma Shakti, Daiva is Jiva Shakti. So like that also we can understand. This universal form has three divisions. One is the division of Daiva, other one is the division of Karma, other one division of Atma. Atma refers to three Atma Shaktis: Adhyatma, Adibhuta, and Adhyadeva. Karma refers to 10 Prana Shaktis, and Daiva refers to three Jiva Shaktis: the Devatas, human beings, and Asuras. So something like that. This universal form has the nature of time and karma. Actually, these are subtle factors of Maya belonging to the Lord. So Maya belonging to the Lord, that means Yoga Maya. But because they are energies of the Lord, they are identified with this form of the Lord. This form, the subtle and gross universal forms, that means basically as of now it is subtle, and eventually it will transform into gross universal form later on. Appears by the power of Yoga Maya. Who could even desire to describe completely this universe? Desiring to describe it is impossible. What to speak of actually describing it? Even desiring to describe this universal form itself is impossible. Then what to speak of displaying it? That means the universal form is imbued with so many responsibilities, activities, and qualities. So addressing all those things will be very difficult. But as of now, according to my little understanding, I have described you one aspect of this universal form. Be satisfied with that, my dear Vidura. Like that, Maitreya Rishi is expressing is humility. So it is like that. Text number 36. Then he further expresses his humility. This is important verse. This is there in your exam also. Tatapi kirtayamyanga
तथापि कीर्तयाम्यङ्ग
yata mati yata shrutam
यथा यथा मति यथा श्रुतं
kirtim hare swam satkartum
कीर्तिं हरे स्वां सत्कर्तुं
giram anyabhidasatim.
गिरम् अन्याभिदासतं दासतिम्. In spite of my inability, whatever I have been able to hear from the spiritual master and whatever I could assimilate, I am now describing in glorification of the Lord by pure speech. For otherwise, my power of speaking would remain unchecked.
Yeah. One more important aspect Maitreya Rishi is establishing here. This verse and next verse, they are very important. They are there in your exam also. Kindly memorize these two verses. So here he says that, O Vidura, O Anga, my dear child, I have thus described to you the glories of the Lord, Hare Kirtim, as I have heard from my Guru, Yata Shrutam. It is not that Maitreya Rishi is speculating and telling, okay, and this is about universe, this is like this, this is like this, this is like this. And this is my invention, this is my philosophy, this is my hypothesis. Not like that. He is telling that, as I have heard from my Guru, I am describing to you the glories of Lord Hari. So this is first aspect. I have heard it, I am repeating it. Is he repeating verbatim as it is everything? No, he says that according to my intelligence. Yatamati. That means I have heard 100 things, but I have only assimilated 10 things from what I have heard from my Guru. My Guru had spoken many things. He is highly knowledgeable, but I could assimilate only 10 things. Since I have assimilated only 10 things, those 10 things I am repeating to you. This is the second aspect. And third aspect, in order to purify myself. Swam Sat Kartum. Why I am repeating this? In order to purify myself. So not that I'm going to do welfare to the entire universe, entire society. No, no. I don't have any qualification for that. I'm doing this only just to purify my existence. If somebody gets benefit by my speech, it is a byproduct. It is their greatness that they are able to assimilate something from my speech and able to draw something nice from that speech. But I am doing it for my purification. Swam Satkartum. Otherwise, speaking other things simply contaminate me. Anya Abhida Asatim Gram. Speaking Harikatha is Satkartum, good activity, auspicious activity and expected activity. Speaking other things are Asati, unchaste. By speaking other things, my tongue becomes unchaste. So it is like that. I describe what I have heard from my Guru, Yatashrutam, and according to how much I have understood, Yatamati, according to my intelligence. What I heard many things, but whatever little I could assimilate, that is what I am repeating. I don't want to confuse you also, something like that. That means that he did not describe everything he heard. That's what I'm saying. He heard 100 things, 90 things he did not repeat because he has not assimilated completely. So whatever 10 things he assimilated, he repeated. I do this to purify my words, which have been contaminated by topics other than the Lord. At other places, I was speaking so many other prajalpa and all. As a result of that, my tongue has been contaminated. In order to purify my tongue and myself, and now I am speaking only Harikatha, according to what I have heard and assimilated. So like that. So there is one thing in mentioned in the second canto, couple of things. This is from first canto. Sorry, I did not put the verse number. This is, I think, 1 to 4 or 1 to 5. The very beginning of the, or 1 to 2, 2 1 2. At the very beginning of the second canto. Shrotavyadini Rajendra, Pranam Santi Sahasrasha, Apashyatam Atmatatvam Greshu Gruhamedinam. O king, there are thousands of topics that can be heard by those who do not inquire about the goal of life. Those who are attached to the house and commit 5 kinds of violences. For the people in this material world who are called as materialistic people, they have thousands of topics to describe and hear, discuss and hear, because they do not have any interest in Atma Tattva. When a person he becomes interested in Atma Tattva, he will not speak or hear anything other than Atma Tattva. That is understanding. Till the time that a desire to understand Atma Tattva generates in the core of the heart, one shows interest in speaking and hearing the mundane topic. So like that. And hearing and speaking to like the croaking frog mentioned in the second canto, third chapter. Ukrama Vikramanye Nachun Narsya Jivasati da Suta Nachopagayati Urugaya Gata. How lamentable ears of a person who has not heard the glories of the Lord are like holes. The which are not hearing Krishna Katha are like the snake holes. Snake holes means basically it is like this. The rats create holes and tries to live there. As the rat made hole and living there, a snake will come, eat the rat, and live in that hole created by the rat. And afterwards, the snake keeps hissing, saying that this is mine, don't come here, don't come here, this is mine, this is mine. So like that. Are only interested in hearing mundane topics, they continuously hiss like the snake. This is mine, don't come here, don't come here. Something like that. And then the tongue which does not chant the glories of the Lord is as offensive as a frog's tongue. The tongue which does not Katha will describe Prajalpa, and that is like the croaking of a especially in the rainy season, we see when the rain is over, the frogs croak like anything. And hearing the frog sound, the snake will come and eat away the frog. If the frog is silent, snake will not understand the frog is there or not. But the frog is making lot of noise, the snake immediately will come and eat it away. It is like if we are busy speaking Prajalpa and without our understanding, the death will come and swallow us up. The snake of death will come and swallow us up. So we by doing Prajalpa, we simply lose our valuable time. So it is like that. So such kind of examples are already stated in the Bhagavatam, the previous cantos. Same thing here, our Maitreya Rishi again telling. Yatamati yatha shrutam. Ye satkirtat kutam nam satkartum giram anyabhisatatim. Otherwise, my speech simply a unchaste speech, which will take me to bondage. So like that. So the previous verse and this verse also important verse, which are there for your exam. You can memorize these two shlokas. एकान्तलाभं वचसोऽनुपुंसाम्
एकान्तलाभं वचसोऽनुपुंसाम्
शुश्लोकमौलेर्गुणवादमाहो
शुश्लोकमौलेर्गुणवादमाहो
श्रुतेश्च विद्वद्भिरुपकृत उपाकृतायाम्
श्रुतेश्च विद्वाद्भिरुपाकृतायाम्
कथासुधायामुपसम्प्रयोगम्
कथासुधायामुपसम्प्रयोगम्. Translation. The highest perfectional gain of humanity is to engage in discussions of the activities and glories of the pious actor. Such activities are so nicely arranged in writing by the greatly learned sages that the actual purpose of the ear is served just by being near them.
Yeah, Ekantalabham, the one and only benefit of Shravanam and Kirtanam is indicated in this verse. Oh Vidura, it is said that describing the qualities of the Lord, Sushloka Mauler Gunavadam, continuously describing the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord, is the highest attainment for men's words. So, the Lord has given us the mouth. The mouth has the ability to speak words. The perfection of the mouth is to continuously speak the glories of the Supreme Lord. It can speak so many other nonsensical things also, but speaking the glories of the Lord is the perfection to the mouth. It is also said that the highest attainment of mankind is hearing the sweet topics of the Lord, which are described by the greatly learned devotees. The highest perfection of the mouth is to speak Krishna Katha. The highest perfection of ears is to hear Krishna Katha. The highest perfection of the intelligence is to contemplate about the causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord. The highest perfection of the mind is to contemplate the sweet pastimes of the Supreme Lord. The highest perfection of Ahankara is to identify oneself as a devotee of the Supreme Lord, the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Lord, Dasosmi, Dasa Dasanu Dasa, something like that. The highest perfection of the Karmendriyas is to engage in the service, various services of the Lord, such as cleaning the temple, decorating the temple, preparing bhoga and offering to the deities, serving prasadam to devotees. So, such kind of things. The highest perfection of the Jnanendriyas is to take part in devotional activities with mouth speaking Krishna Katha, with ears hearing Krishna Katha, with hands and legs going to temple, decorating temple, anointing the deities and etc. etc. With the nostril smelling the fragrance of the garlands offered to Supreme Lord, with tongue tasting Krishna Prasad. So then what else? Everything like that. That is the perfection of all these things. Because the ocean of topics of the Lord cannot be crossed, no one can have complete knowledge of this. Still, people can become successful by chanting and hearing about the Lord, which with some amount of knowledge, and thus attain the Lord eventually. Describing anything else is simply waste of words and waste of time. Even though Lord's glories are unlimited, but whatever little we can do with our mouth and ears, doing that will lead to our perfection. And it is the highest attainment to closely offer the ears to nectar topics of the Lord described by the learned devotees. The ear should be engaged in hearing Krishna Katha from learned devotees. Pibantiye Bhagavata Atmana Satam Katamrutam Shravana Puteshu Samrutam. This is also from second canto, wherein Sukadeva Goswami is telling that make both the ears like the cupped palms and drink the nectar of Krishna Katha. For what? Punantite Vishaya Vidushitashayam. Hearing that Krishna Katha or drinking that Krishna Katha, nectar of Krishna Katha, Vishaya Vidushita Ashayam Punanti. The misdirected aims of life will be purified. The contaminated consciousness will be purified. And then Vrajanti Tatyarana Saroru Ankitam. One will go back home back to Godhead and attain shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the benefit. So like that, Maitreya Rishi is having expressed his humility. He is glorifying the concept of Shravanam and Kirtanam. So like that. Hare Krishna, all of you are with me? Are you following?
Yes, Prabhuji, following.
Hari Bol, Prabhuji.
Little difficult, but following.
What is difficult?
I'll explain later on, Prabhuji. Let's go.
Okay. Next text. Atmano avasito vasta
Atmano avashito vatsa
mahima kavinadina
mahima kavinadina
samvatsara sahasrante
samvatsara sakasrante
divya yoga vipakkaya.
diya yoga vipakkaya. Translation. O my son, the original poet Brahma, after mature meditation for 1000 celestial years, could know only that the glories of Supreme Soul are inconceivable.
Oh Vidura, even Lord Brahma did not comprehend the complete powers of the Supreme Lord. Even having performed mature yoga for 1000 years also, samvatsara sahasrante, after 1000 years of constant deliberation also, Lord Brahma does not understand the complete personality of Godhead. Then who are we to understand about him and explain about him? Not even by intense knowledge can one gain complete knowledge of the Lord, since it is difficult even for Brahma to understand the Lord. Can the powers of the Lord be known by Brahma after 1000 years? Okay, somebody may say that. Okay, Brahmaji directly may not understand. But if he can meditate for 1000 years, then he can understand. Somebody may say like that. Then this is a statement of lamentation. Even after so long, Brahma cannot realize the Lord completely. The glories were not penetrated by Brahma. Or after 1000 years, the Lord's glories were understood as impossible to understand, since they were inconceivable and infinite. After meditating for 1000 years, Lord Brahma understood that Lord's glories are infinite and inconceivable. It is very difficult to understand all those glories. This understanding Brahma got after meditating for 1000 years. He attained this realization of the Lord's glories. This was the knowledge he attained. So it is like that. So then, but what is the point? What do you mean by Brahma after meditating for 1000 years also he does not know? He says the actual understanding is Yasya amatam tasya matam. Matam yassa na vedasa. The Lord is known to he who does not think the Lord is limited. He who thinks the Lord is limited does not know him. That means Those pure devotees who always say that no, Lord is unlimited, I don't know anything about the Lord, it is very difficult to understand about the Lord. Those who say like this out of humility, they actually know the Lord. That means, yasya amatam tasya matam. Those who say that I don't know about the Lord, only they know about the Lord. On the other hand, yasya matam yasya na vedasa. Those who say that I know the Lord, लॉर्ड अभी हम पूरा जान लिया, अभी क्या कुछ बचा नहीं भगवान के बारे में, सब कुछ जान लिया. That means they have not understood anything about the Lord. So it is like that. Those who say that I don't know anything about the Lord out of real humility, they understand about the Lord actually. And out of pride, those who say that I have understood about the Lord, they don't have any real understanding of the Lord. So it is like that. So that is the understanding. So 1 second. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I am in the middle of a class. Can I call you at after 1 o'clock or something like that? Is it okay? Sorry, I'm in the Bhakti Vaibhav class. So, यस्यावतार कर्माणि गायन्ति हि अस्मदादय नयं विदन्ति तत्वेन तस्मै भगवते नमः. So this is a verse from second canto 6th chapter where Brahma says that I and other personalities such as Lord Shiva, you Narada Muni, the four Kumaras and all the Prajapatis and Devatas, we simply offer respect to Supreme Lord, whom we do not know, but whose activities we glorify when he appears as various avatars in this universe. We do not know about the Supreme Lord completely. We do not know about the Vaikuntha. We do not know what Lord does in Vaikuntha. What we know is all about when Lord appears in this material world and performs various pastimes as Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Rama, Krishna, Balrama, this, that. That is what we know, and we discuss that only again and again. That is enough for our perfection. Lord Brahma himself is saying this. So it is like that. So that means Lord's glories are unlimited and we have limited facilities in terms of speaking and hearing, but at least do it. You employ those limited facilities in glorifying the Lord. That is enough for our perfection. So it is like that. Text number 39. Ato bhagavato maya
अतो भगवतो माया
mayinamapi mohini
मायिनामपि मोहिनी
yasvayam chatma vartatma
यत्स्वयं चात्मवर्तात्मा
na veda kim utapare.
न वेद किमुतापरे. Translation: The wonderful potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is bewildering even to the jugglers. That potency is unknown even to the self-sufficient Lord, so it is certainly unknown to others.
Thus, the Lord's Maya bewilders all lower creatures who are expert at enjoying Maya. Because the Lord himself does not know his own glories, what can be said of others? So he says that, so even Brahma, personality like Brahma cannot understand the Supreme Lord completely even after 1000 years of meditation. But other people are busy in doing so many other things and they are indifferent to this understanding about the Lord only. Why? They are all completely bewildered by Maya. They are completely indifferent to the glories, unlimited glories of the Supreme Lord. So this is another aspect of Maya. But on the other hand, Lord's glories are so unlimited, so unlimited that even Lord does not know. Lord himself does not comprehend is what to the extent of his glories. So what should be about, what can be talked about others? Personally, like Brahma, Shiva, Narada cannot understand, Lord himself cannot understand, then who can understand? Even if somebody says that I can understand, I've understood, they are simply bewildered by Maya. So like that. But one can see many persons who have seen the Lord, who can reveal it to others. For this reason, the Lord's Maya bewilders those who have offered themselves completely to Maya, becoming her students and supposedly being able to give knowledge about her. So like that. Some people say that no, I have seen the Lord, I know about the Lord, this, that. They are thoroughly bewildered by Maya. Maya certainly throws them constantly into the material realm because the Supreme Lord does not know his own form. How can others then know him? The Supreme Lord himself does not know about him completely. How can somebody claim that I know about the Lord completely? So it is like that. So this is another verse from the same canto. The previous slide where I showed text number 38, one or two verses before this verse, where Brahmaji is saying, so I don't know about the Lord completely, but we only know a little bit that whenever Lord appears in this material world, we speak of his pastimes. In the same context, Brahma also spoke this verse. Natosmyaham ta charanam samiyusham bhavachidam swasthayanam sumangalam yo yatma maya vibhavam sma paryagat yata nabaswanta tapare kuta. So this verse, the Brahma said that even Lord cannot understand about him. I offer my respects to the lotus feet of the Lord, which destroys material existence for the devotees and bestow the bliss of prema, and which deliver the goals of other sadhanas. Even that Lord does not know the extent of his yogamaya, just as space does not know its limits. What then can others know about the Supreme Lord? By giving an example, he says that just like Akash, the space does not know its limits. It is unlimited, extending everywhere. Similarly, the Lord's glories are extending everywhere. He himself does not know his own glories. Then what to speak of other lower beings who simply boast that I know, I know, I know. So like that. Something like that. So basically, Maitreya Rishi, by expressing his humility, is setting a premise. Lord is unlimited. We can neither speak nor hear about him completely. Whatever little bit we can do according to our ability, let us do. And that is enough for our perfection. So something like that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Like in this shloka, it's mentioned that those who are expert at enjoying Maya. So what does it mean, expert at enjoying Maya? Because one who try to enjoy Maya is actually...
All of us are expert at enjoying Maya. Are we not?
But we are bewildered and we suffer only, no? In the case, how can we say that we are?
The result is suffering, but we are making all endeavors to enjoy Maya. Yes or no? In spite of one is going through misery, does anyone stops trying to enjoy Maya?
No.
See, for example, I'll give you one thing. You ate something, the food poison happened. You stop eating?
No.
That's all. Even though in spite of going through miseries, we still try to find enjoyment. Okay, I could not get enjoyment. Let me get here. Let me get here. Let me get here. The desire will never die in this material world.
Then it should be said that they are conditioned or addicted to enjoy Maya, because how can we say that they are expert at enjoying Maya?
In bewildered by Maya, we think that we are expert. We may not be expert, but being bewildered by Maya, we think that we are expert.
Okay, in getting bewildered, we are expert.
Does anyone say in this world that I'm good for nothing, I'm useless?
Yeah.
Everyone has a perception about oneself as being a hero. Yes or no?
Yes. And it's also that Lord does not understand his own glories. So is it not a fault in a Lord that he himself is not able
No,
to
it is not fault, Prabhu. It is Atishayukti. See, don't take it like literally. When something is said by Acharyas, when Acharyas out of humility, when they say that I am not at all a devotee, do you mean that they are not devotee?
No.
It is a humility. There is an expression of humility. It is called Atishayukti. Even Lord cannot understand his glories means it is to indicate that Lord glories are unlimited. Even a personality like Lord also cannot understand means his glories are so unlimited. It is to indicate the greatness of the Lord's glories. It is not to indicate that Lord does not understand. The emphasis should be given to the second part of the sentence, not to the first part of the sentence.
Okay.
It is called Atishayukti.
Okay, Prabhu.
See, sometimes when it comes to poetry, it is said something, but intended to say something else. It is like that.
It's kind of poetic license to describe.
It is a poetic way of telling.
Okay.
You should never go with words. It is not a black and white thing.
Need to understand the intent. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. The last verse of this chapter. Yato prapya na vartanta
Yato prapyanya
vachascha manasa saha
vachassa manasa saha
aham chanya ime devas
aham chanya ime devas
tasmai bhagavate namaha.
tasmai bhagavate namaha. Translation: words, mind, and ego, with their respective controlling demigods, have failed to achieve success in knowing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, we simply have to offer our respectful obeisances unto Him as a matter of sanity.
I offer respects to that Supreme Lord, whom words along with mind, the Devatas such as Brihaspati, Rudra, and others could not understand and gave up. So basically, though one may be expert in their respective field in this world, but when it comes to understanding the Lord, it is impossible task for anyone. Establishing that the Lord cannot be completely understood, Maitreya offers respects at the end. The end of the logic, the end of the Lord's glories cannot be reached. Aprapya. The power of speech of the universal form and all the individual jivas, vacha, along with their minds, retreated from the Lord, are the words emanating from Brahma's mouth, along with his mind, retreated. Means individually or combined together, all of us in the entire universe cannot understand the Lord's glories completely. So it is like that. Rudra, the present deity of Ahankara, and the Devatas such as Brihaspati retreated from him. Why? They retreated because they could not completely comprehend the sweetness of his name, form, pastimes, Nama, Rupa, Gundalila, and could find no end to them. Aprapya. Naham na yuyam yadrutam gatir vidur. Navamadeva ki mutaparesura. Tanmayaya mohita buddhayastu idam. Vinirmitam chatma samam vichikshmehe. So this is also another verse from the second canto 6th chapter in the same context where we discussed previous two verses. Here he says that I myself, Brahma is speaking to Narada Muni. I myself, you, my dear Narada, and Shiva do not know the three parts of the spiritual world. The Tripad Vibhuti, which was mentioned in the 6th chapter, we do not know anything about the Tripad Vibhuti. That means the spiritual world, the Vaikuntha planets. And the one part of material world. What to speak of others? We, myself, you, Narada, and the four Kumaras and Lord Shiva do not know the Tripad Vibhuti and Ekavad Vibhuti completely. Then what to speak of others? Bewildered in intelligence, we speak about the material realm only and do that according to our limited knowledge. We could only speak about Ekapad Vibhuti according to our limited understanding. Even Ekapad Vibhuti also we cannot speak completely. So like that, saying. So Shruti says, Yato vacha nivartate aprapya manasa saha. The words along with the mind turn back from the Lord who cannot be fully understood. Taittiriya Upanishad says that basically, though we may think that I am a great intelligent person, my mind can contemplate this, that, but they cannot come to the end of the glories of the Supreme Lord. The intention of this verse is to show that it is impossible to measure the Lord because of his infinity, and thus words and mind are both mentioned. The Lord and Lord's glories are infinite, with our limited sense faculties, we cannot understand about him completely. So like that. Words and other senses cannot at all realize the Lord, but the same should not be said about knowing the Lord through the vision of Atma. He can be known to some extent. It is basically with our mind, intelligence, and other sense faculties, we cannot understand the Lord completely. But we can understand the Lord to the extent which is enough to give us the realization of Atma and Paramatma so that we can go back to Godhead. That is possible. It is not that we can't understand anything. The Lord's glories are so unlimited, our sense faculties have no able to come to that end. But with the sense faculties given to us, we can understand about the Lord's that extent, which is enough for us, for it is enough to take us back to Godhead. It is like that. यस्यावतार कर्माणि गायन्ति अस्मदादय यं न विदन्ति तत्वेन तस्मै भगवते नमः. What is that extent which is enough to take us back to Godhead? I and others offer respect to Supreme Lord, whom we do not know, but whose activities we glorify when he appears as various avatars. What is that? As and when the Lord comes to this mental world, he performs various avatars, and that is enough. By hearing that, glorifying that is enough to go back to Godhead. As Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vecha tasatah taktva deha punarjanma naiti mamit sorjuna. So Lord appears in various avatars and he appears and performs pastimes. Understanding those things in Tatvataha, one will go back to God and does not take birth again in this material world. That is enough. Lord may be unlimited, we don't have to know him unlimitedly. Understand that he is unlimited, you cannot understand him completely and be happy with that and know him as much as our capacity allows, our sense of ability, that is enough to take us back to Godhead. So this is final conclusion. Vedasya sarver hameva vedya. I am to be known by study of the Vedas. There is no incongruity with the Shruti. Tad Vishnoho paramam padam sada pashyanti suryaha. The devotees always see the supreme form of Vishnu by hearing. Shutekshana. Bhakti is called as Shutekshana pato. The path of seeing the Lord through hearing. So when we hear scriptures about the Supreme Lord, we actually imagine and see about the Lord. We imagine the form of the Lord, the description, the beautiful description of the Balm. Hearing from scriptures, we imagine his transcendental form. As a result of that, we can contemplate upon that and we can go back to Godhead eventually. Then we can see him in person directly. So it is like that. So though there is a limitation, but that limitation thing also is good enough to take us back to Godhead. That immeasurable, unchanging Lord should be understood by our mind. Manasai drushtavyam etad ameyam dhruvam. The Lord may be unlimited, but we should understand as much as we can understand. That is enough to take us back to Godhead. So he is telling two things. The Lord is unlimited. We cannot describe him completely, but I have described whatever I have understood, whatever I have heard from Guru. The Lord is unlimited. We cannot understand him completely, but we should understand as much as we can. It does not mean that, okay, we cannot understand, so there is no need to understand. Not like that. We should make an endeavor to understand as much as we can understand. That is enough for us to go back to Godhead. So with this premises, Maitreya had concluded his description of the universal form here in this chapter. Hare Krishna. So we'll go to the next chapter. I hope all of you are following. No confusion. Hare Krishna. All of you are following, na? Any questions?
Yes,
Yes, Prabhuji.
Then ask, na?
Prabhuji, in this, what you are describing, this Virat Swarupa, there is a subtle form. Then what, can you just give some glimpse on this second canto, the Bhagavad, this Virat Rupa means what they are, because this is also, I asked last time also, naturally. But what are the difference between that? Because this is a subtle form, but that is also gross form described in second canto.
No, second canto in the chapter 1, chapter 5, there is a description of the gross universal form. Chapter 6 and chapter 10, there is a description of subtle universal form. So that's what I was telling now. The universal form is one only. There is a certain category of functions are there, but there are different aspects to it. So those different aspects are mentioned there. For example, here we are telling that the mouth has manifested in the universal form so that the Agni can be seated in that office and do the activity of the mouth and oversee the activities of the mouth of the all the living entities. So because the Devata wanted some service, the mouth has manifested, the seva is given. Same way, if you take in the second kind of 10th chapter, why mouth has manifested? The Jiva wanted to eat something. जीवा को इच्छा था, कुछ टेस्ट करना चाहता था, तो इसलिए माउथ मैनिफेस्टेड. In second canto 6th chapter, in order to indicate that the Lord is both what is that? Upadana Karana and Nimitta Karana, the material cause and efficient cause for both. It is indicated that it is the Lord who created the entire universal form, not somebody else had created it. The people say, na, the universe came by chance. It did not come by chance. It has come by Lord's hard work. Because Lord has a desire to speak, He manifested the mouth. Lord has a desire to eat, He manifested the tongue. So here Lord's desire means it is not the Lord's desire in that sense. Lord want to facilitate in such a way that the living entities can do all these activities. So Lord is doing all these things as if He is desiring. He is having a desire to do all these things, so He is providing all these facilities to us. So as a result of, by the way, He is both the material cause and efficient cause. It is He who is creating these senses. It is He who is facilitating the operation of all the senses. So that is, He is both Upadana Karana and Nimitta Karana. That is indicated in the 6th chapter. So like that.
Okay, Pravit, thank you. We have to read once again.
You have to read till the time you understand. That's why the intelligence is given to you. That's what Maitreya Rishi is telling. Otherwise, it is Annabhida Sasim. If we don't endeavor to understand these things with our senses, we are simply become unchaste. So like that. So in the 7th chapter, Vidura asks questions to resolve his doubts about the Lord and the Jiva and other questions about Bhakti. So many questions he is going to ask. Some are answered here and other things are answered in the future chapters. Any other devotee has any question?
Yes, Prabhuji. I just want to check, like in Bhagavatam Tattva Vichar, the creation which you describes only from the third canto or all the cantos, like second cantos and on other cantos?
No,
also?
the book is meant for all the cantos. The book describes all the important themes for all over the Bhagavatam except 10th canto. All the things are there. But the creation pastimes I mentioned based on second and third cantos, and then maintenance from third to 11th cantos, and annihilation in the 12th canto. That chapter talks about the creation, maintenance, and annihilation. How all these things are happening in the entire universe. Of course, the creation is explained in great detail from both the cantos. Because even the both the cantos, it is like it is not at one place everything is mentioned. We have to take some aspects are mentioned second and 10th chapter, second 6th chapter, 5th chapter, and third canto 6th chapter, 5th chapter. So like that, some details are missing here and there. So we need to combine all the details in chronological order so that you get the complete picture. If you study thoroughly all these chapters systematically, then you will understand which is happening when and afterwards what is happening, how it is happening, etc. etc.
Okay, so in the book it is like compiled all together in a chronology.
Yes.
Okay.
So this chapter has about 42 verses. So in the beginning, second 7 verses, Vidura asks some questions about the concept of Lord and Jiva, and which are answered in next couple of verses till 14. Then remaining chapter, Vidura asks so many questions and requests Maitreya to answer all these questions at the end of the chapter. And Maitreya will answer the remaining questions in the upcoming cantos, the rest of the third canto and fourth canto. Because he did not complete all the answers, later on Sukadeva Goswami completes the remaining answers in the further cantos. So it's like basically in one sense, whatever questions asked by my Vidura here in the chapter are like the headings for the future cantos. They are answered in the rest of the Bhagavatam. These questions are similar to the questions asked by Parishit Maharaj in the second canto, 8th chapter. So because whatever questions asked by Parishit Maharaj are also asked by Vidura sometime before. So my Sukadeva Goswami taking the conversation that took place between Vidura and Maitreya. So he can give the answers referring to the answers given by Maitreya. So like that. Sri Shuka Uvacha.
Sri Shuka
Evam Bruvana Maitreya.
Evam
Dvaipayana Suto Buddha. Prinayan Iva Bharatya. Viduraha Pratyabhasata.
Sri Shukdev Goswami said, while Maitreyi, the great sage, was thus speaking, Vidura, the learned son of Dvaipayana Vyasa, expressed a request in a pleasing manner by asking this question. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I'm extremely sorry, Prabhuji. I just spoke in between. Hare Krishna.
So Sukadeva Goswami says that then intelligent Vidura, son of Vyasadeva, pleasing Maitreya with sweet words after he had finished his explanation, addressed Maitreya. So Maitreya spoke for a while and he became quiet. Then Vidura, expressing his gratitude, his happiness, he began to inquire further. So Maitreya had said in the previous discussion in the Canto 3rd, chapter 5, text number 25-26, he said that, "Oh great soul, the energy composed of cause and effect, Sava etasya samdrashtu Shakti sadasatmika, Maya nama mahabhaga edam nirmame vibhu." The energy Maya Shakti composed of cause and effect belonging to the Lord who glances is called Maya. By that energy, the Lord creates the universe. Edam nirmame vibhu. Kala vrityatu mayayam guna mayam adokshaja. Purushenatma bhutena viryam adatta viryavan. Bhagavan, the Lord of Mahavaikuntha, in his Swamsha expansion, the first Purusha, Mahavishnu, under the influence of time, offered the jivas into the womb of Maya and agitated the gunas of Maya. So like that. So basically here one aspect is mentioned as the Supreme Lord of Vaikuntha expanding as first Purusha Mahavishnu, glancing upon Maya, who is his energy consisting of three modes, impregnated her with unlimited Jiva Shaktis, and then created unlimited Brahmandas. So now the question will be in the future. I mean, in one sense, apparently Vidura expressing his satisfaction, but he is not completely satisfied. Why? Because he has a doubt. So the Supreme Lord is Chit Swarupa, Maya is Chitkana. Sorry, Jiva is Chitkana, and Maya is Jada. How is the Supreme Lord, who is completely Chinmatra, interacting with Maya, who is made up of gunas, and how the Jiva, who is also kind of Chitkana, coming in contact with Maya? ऐसा कैसे? These two are entirely different. Paramatma and Maya is entirely different. Jivatma and Maya are also entirely different. How Paramatma is interacting with Maya and how Jivatma coming under the shelter of Maya? How is this? He is going to ask this question in the future verses. O Brahmana, you have delivered me from the well of material life. By such sweet words, Vidura seemed to please Maitreya. Bharatya iva. Bharatya means You are maintained me. You have protected me. So from Bharatya comes Bharata. Bharata means you protects the surrendered wife, something like that. So Bharate Yuva, as if pleased, Vidura is saying that you have saved me. But he's not completely happy. He's not completely convinced of what Maitreya spoke. Actually, he could not please Maitreya with such sweet words because Maitreya could easily understand the objections in Vidura's mind to what he had said. Vidura still had some doubts in what Maitreya spoke. Though Vidura said that, my dear Lord, you have saved me, Maitreya could understand. Out of courtesy only you are speaking, but really you are not. You are not convinced what I have spoken. So something like that. So now, so looking at Maitreya's apprehension, that my dear Vidura, you are saying that you are pleased with my talk, but I don't see that you are pleased with my talk. If you have some doubts, please ask. I'll try to clarify. Don't keep them without being asked, hidden. So when Vidura saw at the face of Maitreya, understanding that okay, Maitreya wants me to be specific, not courtesy, not as a superficial goody goody. So be straightforward, something like that. So now Vidura is going to ask questions. So in 3 verses, he is going to inquire about the Lord, and next in 3 verses, 5, 6, 7, he is going to ask about the Jivatma also. The first 3 verses talks about the question about the Lord. Why Lord interacting with Maya? Lord is different from Maya. Why? Why he is coming in contact with Maya? Something like that. Vidura Uvacha.
Vidura Uvacha.
Brahman Katam Bhagavatas.
Brahman Katam Bhagavatas.
Chinmatrasya Vikarinaha.
Chinmatrasya Vikarinaha.
Leelaya Vapi Ujjeran.
Leelaya Vapi Ujjeran.
Nirgunasya Gunakriya.
Nirgunasya Gunakriya. Translation. Sri Vidura said, O great Brahmana, since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the complete spiritual whole and is unchangeable, how is he connected with the material modes of nature and their activities? If this is his pastime, how do the activities of the unchangeable take place and exhibit qualities without the modes of nature?
Yeah, this is the first question. Vidura says, O Brahmana, how is it possible that the Lord, who is spiritual, Chinmatrasya, who is not spiritual, who is completely spiritual, he is Chinmatra, he is completely Chinmatra only, without change, Avikarina, there is no transformation, there is no change in his personality, that's why he is called Avyakta. And beyond the Gunas, Nirgunasya, he is situated beyond the Gunas, becomes connected with the actions and Gunas. Action means change. So the Lord is Avikarina and Nirguna and Chinmatra. And how can he comes in contact with activities and the 3 modes of material nature? How can he starts performing some activities and interacting with 3 modes? ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है? This is the question. The meaning of the question is, how can a spiritual entity have activities like creation of the universe with gunas like sattva, rajas and tamas? The Supreme Lord is completely inactive in terms of the 3 modes of material nature. Then how can he is completely Chinmatra, is completely spiritual. How can he perform some material activities like creation, maintenance, and annihilation? How can a Lord who is completely spiritual interact with the material modes? ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है? This is the question. Vidura has not used the word Chinmaya or Chidrupa, but he has used the word Chinmatrasya. This word limits the Lord to only spiritual substance with no trace of matter, with no trace of 3 gunas. However, Maya with material gunas was described in verse quoted from chapter 5 as being a Shakti of the Lord. So, first of all, Lord is identified as Chinmatrasya, that means completely spiritual. He has no trace of material. But the same Bhagavatam, which is calling him Chinmatra, also telling that Maya, which is made up of three gunas, is also one of the Lord's energy. ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है? When Lord is completely spiritual, Lord should not have anything material. But he said that Lord has the Maya Shakti, which is made up of material gunas as his energy. ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है? Because the Lord cannot be separated from his Shakti, the Lord must have material gunas. If you say that no, Maya Shakti is also Lord Shakti, then Lord also has material gunas. Then he cannot be Chinmatra. How can that be possible that he has these gunas if he is only exclusive spiritual Chinmatra? And if he has these gunas, how can he be considered completely spiritual? This is one question. This is the first question. A kind of doubt or apprehension. Next, second question is, transformation is caused by time and it is a quality of the gunas. Because the Lord is purely spiritual, if he is without change, how can he perform actions which indicate change? Creation, maintenance, and annihilation means there is a visible transformation in the three modes of material nature, in the material world. If the Lord is avikara, avyakta, nitya, then how can there be some change in his activities? How can he perform activity first of all, then the activities which indicate the change and transformation of the objects? If he performs actions, how can he be spiritual? This is the second question. If he performs material activities also, how can he be completely spiritual? So he can perform spiritual activities. He should not perform material activities. So since we are saying that he is the creator, maintainer, and leader, how can he be spiritual completely then? This is the second question. Then a kind of third question. Not third question, but it's a combination of first and two, and then going further. It is impossible for him to have such gunas and actions. But they do appear if the Lord has independent pastimes. By using the phrase Leelaya Va, does he really have such pastimes? Instead of simply Leelaya, it is possible to avoid the contradiction. So if somebody said that no, it is only Lord's pastime. Okay, it is only Lord's pastime means Lord only just acting as if he has these activities, these gunas. Then it is fine. But it is said Leelaya Va. Is it really a pastime or real? I'm doubtful about it. So something like that. The word infuses a doubt. Is it really pastime? Is it real in Vidura's heart? If he actually has such pastimes, then it is impossible for him to avoid these gunas. If it is Leela, he must have the gunas. Bhagavataha is a subject with modifying words such as Chinmatrasya and Avikarinaha. So the attributes of Bhagavan are Chinmatrasya and Avikarinaha. Bhagavan Eka Asedam Agre. Only the Lord existed before the creation. Maitreya will also mention later on in the 7th chapter that Bhagavan later with Sayam Bhagavato Maya. The Bhagavan existed along with Maya. In the previous chapter, it is said that Bhagavan Eka Asedam, Bhagavan alone existed. In the later chapter, it will say that Bhagavan existed with Maya. So like that. If one describes the Lord as dealing with Maya, such as Bhagavan cannot be purely spiritual. If one says that no, Bhagavan deals with Maya, then you cannot say he's completely spiritual. He cannot be said to have Bhaga, spiritual qualities. For in the Vishnu Purana, it is said that Bhagavan means having Bhaga, 6 qualities which are non-material. So Bhagavan is he who possesses the 6 transcendental qualities. Jnana Shakti, Baleshwarya, Virya, Tejamsi, Asheshataha. Bhagavad Shabda Vachyani, Vina Hair, Gunadibir. The word Bhagavan means to be endowed with unlimited knowledge, unlimited sense power, unlimited jnana, unlimited shakti, unlimited bodily strength, bala, unlimited power of control, aishwarya, unlimited influence, virya, unlimited beauty, teja, without inferior gunas. So all these are spiritual qualities and they are unlimited. It is not that okay, this much itna aishwarya, itna bala, itna virya, not like that, unlimited. that person is only called as Bhagavan. So, how can that Bhagavan who possesses 6 spiritual qualities unlimitedly, he is said to be possessing material qualities also with 3 modes, and said to perform material activities such as creation, maintenance, and destruction? How is that? So, this is a question in order to establish the true identity of Bhagavan. So, that is a question. That is the first verse. In first verse, he is asking 2 questions. So, like that. So, he explains the same theme in the next 2 verses also. Deha dehi vibhagoyam neshware vidyate kvachit. There is not separation of the Lord from his body at all. So when it comes to the Supreme Lord, there is no distinction between the Deha and Dehi. In our case, we have the distinction. So we are Atma and we are possessed with subtle body and gross body. We are having gross body, subtle body. But in the case of the Lord, there is no such distinction. Thus, the word Bhaga indicates that the 6 great qualities are purely spiritual, not a transformation of the material guna such as sattva. See, in our case, we say that no, Atma is completely spiritual, but the gross body and subtle body are material. The activities done by the gross body and subtle body are called material activities. The activities done by the Atma are called as spiritual activities. Like that, we can distinguish. That we can say in relation to us. But the same principle we cannot apply in the relation to Supreme Lord, because in the case of Supreme Lord, the body and the soul are completely spiritual. There is no distinction between the body and soul. So we cannot say that some activities sometimes he performs mental activities, sometimes he performs spiritual activities. No. Since he is completely spiritual, all his activities should be completely spiritual. Thus, the word Bhaga indicates that the 6 qualities are purely spiritual, not a transformation of the material gunas such as Sattva. Such qualities of Bhagavan are his chief qualities, Sarupa Lakshana. Saying that these qualities of Bhagavan are secondary qualities, Tatasa Lakshana, because they are material is completely wrong. Somebody said that no. Whatever Lord is the spiritual word or spiritual activity, there is Sarupa Lakshana. And whatever he does in the material world, such as creation, maintenance, and relation, there is Tatastha Lakshana, secondary qualities. No. Lord has only one qualities. All are his Sarupa qualities only. There is nothing like Tatastha for him. So just with logic and reasoning, trying to establish the true identity of the Lord. That Maitreya will do later on. But here, by asking questions with the different aspects, Vidura himself is trying to establish the Lord should be like this. He cannot be combination of this here and there, not like that, something like that. So now he gives one example. So one may say that Indra possesses Maya and that Indra becomes a bull by Maya's power. This means that there is an appearance of a bull belonging to Indra created by himself. So Indra being a Devata, he possesses some Maya Shakti. As a result of that, sometimes he creates a bull. Or sometimes Indra himself transforms into a acts like a bull. That we hear from Puranas and Itihasas, and we see the magician also does something like that. Either Lord is doing the same thing, so Lord himself is becoming the universe, something like that. Similarly, in saying that the Lord has Maya, Swayam by Gautama Maya, the Lord becomes the universe by the use of this Maya. Lord has a potency known as Maya. Using that potency, he himself converting himself as the universe. Is it like that? This means that the Lord has a universal form made up of Maya. But this is not the Lord, not the Lord Swarupa. Just like when Indra had created a bull with the help of his Maya, one only sees the bull. Now one does not say that the bull is Indra. One may say out of observation that no, Indra only transformed into the bull. But a bull is not Indra completely. Bull is a creation of Indra. Similarly, even if one says that Lord has a Shakti known as Maya, he employed Maya and created the universe by transforming himself into universe. So now you say that now Lord is universe only. No, Lord has his own Swarupa. He is only employing Maya to create the universe. which is said to be his transformation, but it is not he. His Swarupa is entirely different from Lord Swarupa. The universe cannot be said as the Lord like the people do outside. So like that, in order to establish the true identity of the Lord, he is asking this question. And in the next two verses, he kind of follows the same theme, expands on the same theme of this question.
So
here he says that. So we see that small kids are busy. I mean, they are always desiring to play whole day. Even the parents may say that no, abhi play time ho gaya, summer holidays khatam. You need to go to school. Still the children say that no, we want to play, because they want to play. They have some rasa in that play. Is it like that? Lord also experiences some rasa in creating, maintaining annihilation. Is it like the play of the children? That's how in the next verse he is asking. Yeah, yes, somebody is trying to say something.
Yeah, Prabhu. So, like what Vidura is asking, like that the Lord is completely spiritual. So, what do you mean to say that the cause is completely spiritual, but effect is material? So, is that question?
No, Vidura's question is that I want to understand who the Lord is all about. In the previous chapter, you told that the Lord is glancing upon Maya and impregnating Maya with Jiva Shakti and Kala Shakti. So, but as far as my understanding, I know that Lord is completely spiritual. Why he has to interact with Maya made up of material energy? So, you want to get like a little clarity on the Lord. So, a kind of doubt is there in his heart, and he is establishing the proper understanding of the Lord by asking this inquiry. And that inquiry itself has many facets. So, all the facets are explained in the notes. The answer is not yet given. Answer Maitreya only will give in the 8th verse. But the question itself has different facets. All the facets are indicated in this particular notes. So like that.
So basically, he's trying to understand that how the Lord is completely spiritual, is
Hmm.
interacting in the material nature, which is made of matter.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So here is expanding the same thing. So is lad interacting with Maya is like the children playing? Is it like that? Lad is adamant on playing so much? Something like that. Kridayam udyamorvasya
Kridayam udamyo arbhasya
kamaschikrida chamaschikrid shanyata
kamaschikredisyanta
swatastu prasthachaakatam
satastiptasya katam
nivritasya sadanyata.
nivritasya sadanyata. See, Vidura said, O great Brahmana, since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the complete spiritual whole and is unchangeable, how is he connected with the material modes of nature and their activities? If this is his pastime, how do the activities of the unchangeable take place and exhibit qualities without the modes of nature?
Translation 2 he read.
Sorry.
Translation 3.
Yeah, sorry. Boys are enthusiastic to play with other boys or with various diversion because they are encouraged by desire, but there is no possibility of such desire for the Lord because he is self-satisfied and detached from everything at all times.
Yeah. Kama is the impetus for playing seen in the children. The desire is the impetus for the children to play for long, especially the small children. They want to play whole day, whole night. At least in the past, it was like that. Nowadays, they might want to play on the video games and mobile and all. But in the past, children used to play literally on the ground for whole day, morning to late night. The impetus for the Lord's pastime should be different. The Lord cannot be like a small child. It's like a small ignorant child without understanding the need to go to school. Not like that. How can the desire for a play in the Lord arise from Kama, since the Lord is self-satisfied? Lord is Atma Rama. How can there is a material desire in him? So suddenly material desire came, so you want to create the material universes. How can it arise otherwise? Since nothing exists except the Lord at the beginning of the creation. Even it is the understanding is that even if the children want to play, there should be at least two children. So one children will inspire other children. Child say that, children, हम खेलेंगे आज, ये खेलेंगे, वो खेलेंगे. So two children साथ साथ में they'll play whole day. Alone cannot do. But here Lord is alone at the beginning of the creation. So how can the desire came in his heart? So like that, the different aspects of the same question. There cannot be any resolution in the contradiction when speaking of his pastimes. So I am not able to come to one particular resolution on why Lord is doing all this creation and all. As well, the pastime should not occur without some reason on the part of the Lord. Just like when we do activities, there is some motivation, there is some inspiration to do certain activity. So I think there should be some motivation in the case of Lord also to do the activity of creation. An example is given. For children, the inspiration for playing is kama. That is natural. Natural kada of inclination for playing. Or the desire to play arises by impetus from other children. Either the play the children want to play is because of one's own desire, or being requested or inspired by some other child, they will play. Is it like that in the case of the Lord? Because the Supreme Lord is self-satisfied, Atma Rama, Satatupasasa. How can Kama be there in the heart of the Lord? How can Kama be the cause of is doing activities? And since no one exists except the Lord before the creation, how does the desire to play arise by others' influence? So, is this Lord's desire? But we know that Lord is Atma Rama. There should be no desire in the Lord's heart. No, somebody else inspired Lord, but there was no one to inspire him. How can somebody else inspire him? Why Lord did this? Why Lord is doing the creation? So that is the question. The different aspects of the same question. Then he further continues about the Lord. Asrakshit Bhagavan Vishwam
अस्राक्षित भगवान विश्वम
Gunamayatma Mayaya
गुणमायात्म मायया
Tasya Samstapayati Etad
तया संस्थापयत्येतात्
Bhuya Pratyaya Bhuya Pratyapidasyati.
भूयः प्रत्यपीडस्यति. Translation. By his self-sheltered potency of the three modes of material nature, the Lord has caused the creation of this universe. By her, he maintains the creation and conversely dissolves it again and again.
The Lord creates the universe by Maya composed of the three gunas and maintains it by Maya and destroys it by Maya. How? This is what you told. Lord creates, maintains, and destroys by Maya. How? Something like that. One cannot hide the fact that the Lord does not have gunas and actions. It is well known to everyone. Pratyabhidasthati means that he withdraws or destroys the creation. One cannot hide the fact that the Lord does not have gunas and actions. So it is well known fact that Lord is freed from the material gunas and material actions. But you have said Lord with Maya creates, maintains and annihilates. It is contradictory to natural understanding of the Lord. You need to clarify this, my dear Maitreyaji. So like that. So like that in 3 verses he asked the question about the Lord. In the next 3 verses he asked the question about the Jiva. Because Lord impregnates the Jiva in the womb of Maya. And Jiva comes under the control of Maya. How kaise ho sakta hai? Just like Lord is Chinmatrasya, Jiva is Chitkana. He is also spiritual. How can he coming under the control of Maya? So that question is asking. Deshata kala toyo sao. Hare Krishna, someone please repeat.
देशता कालतो यसौ
Avastata swatonyata.
अवस्थातः स्वतोऽन्यतः
Aviluptava bodhatma.
अविलुप्तावबोधात्मा
सायुज्येता जय कथम.
सायुज्येता जया कथम. Translation: The pure soul is pure consciousness and is never out of consciousness, either due to circumstances, time, situation, dreams, or other causes. How then does he become engaged in nescience?
Yeah, the next question is about the jiva. How can the jiva, whose knowledge cannot be destroyed, avilupta avabodha atma? Jiva by nature is Satchit Ananda Swarupa. He has eternal knowledge and eternal bliss. Okay. How can his knowledge, which cannot be destroyed by place and time and condition, nature, or other causes, becomes associated with avidya or ignorance or maya? How can the jivatma in his Swarupataha, is full of knowledge and bliss and full of eternity, knowledge and bliss, and his knowledge and bliss cannot be disturbed by place, time, condition, nature, comes under the control of Maya? कैसे हो सकता है? Another question arises. How can the jiva be bewildered by Maya? How can the jiva, whose awareness cannot be destroyed by place and time, become associated with ignorance? How does the jiva lose knowledge in the association of ignorance? So basically like that. How can the jiva who is Sachidananda Swarupi comes under the control of Maya? The jiva becomes affected by place, just as a seed sown in barren earth does not grow. So he says that the jiva in its true identity, true constitutional position, does not gets affected by place, time, conditions, play, people, etc. etc. Example is given. So in our vicinity, we see that when you sow the seeds in a barren land, the seed does not grow. When you sow the same seed in a fertile land, it grows. The place has some influence. So something like that. So the jiva becomes affected by place, just as the seed sown in barren earth does not grow up. The jiva is influenced by time, just as lighting is affected by time. The lighting only comes in the rainy season. It does not come throughout the year. It is affected by conditions, just as memory is affected by conditions. That means in certain conditions, we are inspired to think in a particular way. In other places, we are inspired to think in another way. Our surroundings have a great impact upon us. It is influenced by nature, such as sleep, etc. So currently in a conditioned state, we are affected by so many things. The place, time, surroundings, conditions, people, nature, etc. But Jiva, by its constitutional position, not supposed to be affected by all these things. It is supposed to be full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So how can I reconcile these two contrary situations? It is influenced by other objects, just as a part is affected by other objects. Because the Jiva is a spiritual object, its knowledge should not become lost. How is the Jiva's knowledge destroyed by ignorance? How? Having come to this material world, we have lost our true identity. We have lost our complete true knowledge. How is that happening? Just like a mud part loses its, it gets transformed as if when you put the mud part in the white colored tuna, it becomes white. When you put it in red colored water, it becomes red. When you fill the mud pot with liquor, it smells liquor, fragrant liquor smell. So it gets transformed as soon as it comes in association with something. So we have become like that. How can the Atma is so simple that it transforms as soon as it comes in association with something? But Jiva is said to be Chit Kana and Sachidananda Swarupa and Sanatana eternally. So ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? Why it is happening like this? It is also an important question. So the answer will be given by Maitreya later. We'll see that in the next class. So now the question has furthermore aspects in the next two verses. So for today we'll discuss these two verses, then we'll stop for today's class. So quickly, please recite after me. Bhagavan eka evaisa
Bhagavan eka evaisa
sarva kshetreshu avastitah
sarva kshetresu avastitah
amushya durbhagatvam va
amusya durbhagavatam va
klesho va karma bhikutah.
klesho va karma bhikuta. Translation: The Lord as the super soul is situated in every living being's heart. Why then do the living entities' activities result in misfortune and misery?
The Lord is situated in all bodies as Paramatma. Just like Jivatma is there in the core of our heart, Paramatma is also there. Why does the Jiva then suffer from ignorance and lose his sense of bliss? Jiva by nature, Satchidananda Swarupa. Okay, we hear that Aham Sarvasya Prabhu Mattam Sarvam Pravartate. I am there in the Jiva and by becoming everything. So Paramatma to hai बाजू में, फिर भी Jiva is forgetting about. Hare Krishna, devotees kindly mute. So why is it that in spite of Paramatma being situated next to him, the Jiva is going through miserable condition in this material world? What is the reason? The Lord is not like an imperishable king, irresponsible king who assigns incapable rulers to his state, causing the innocent Jivas to suffer. So Paramatma is not like an incapable ruler who gives a responsibility to some incapable managers and who creates a lot of chaos in the entire kingdom. Not like that. Paramatma is full competent. Still, in spite of being situated next to Paramatma, the Jivatmas are going on perpetual miseries. Why? The Lord is situated in all Jivas as Paramatma, the personally. He is not like the king who rules by his representatives in the kingdom. He is personally situated there, he is personally guiding. Lord says that. Ishvara Sarvabhutainam Uddesha Arjun Tishtati Brahmayan Sarvabhutan Indarodan Maya. I am situated in the heart of every living entity as the Paramatma, and by me, the body is functioning as the yantra. Why then? Why the problems? He alone does this. This excludes the possibility of dividing the responsibilities among others. Though the Lord, protector of all beings, resides in all jivas, why does the jiva has misfortune or destruction or bliss? Why the durbhagatva? Why durbhagya is chasing after jiva again and again, again and again? And hence one is suffering from ignorance again and again. Why jiva is put into durbhagya and going through misery in spite of Paramatma being seated next to him? So this is the next question. So for which, I mean, the same question Vidura asked in the beginning of the conversation also. At the very beginning, his first discussion started with this. Sukaya karmani karoti loko nate sukam vanayad uparamamba. Vindeta bhuya satayeva dukkam yadatra yuktam bhagavan vadenna. Men in this world engage in actions for material happiness, but do not attain happiness and do not destroy distress, nor do they become detached. Rather, by this, they increase their suffering. You know everything. Therefore, please tell me about this. So, like that, people perform various material activities in order to get so much happiness, but as a result, they are only getting more and more misery. Please tell me what is the reason, what is the remedy for this? The same thing is asking now also. What he asked in the past chapter is asking now. So then Maitreya told there only. I mean, you know answer. Why are you asking me? Then Vidura said in the next verse, third verse, what I know is this much. Janasya Krishna Dvimukasya Daivad Adharma Shila Sudukshasya Anugrahaya Charanti Nunam Bhutan Bhavyana Janardanasya. In order to give mercy to the suffering people engaged in sin, who are under the control of karma and ignorant of Krishna, auspicious devotees like you move in this world. So what I know is that though Paramatma is there close next to Jivatma, but Jivatma turned his face away from Paramatma. That's why the Jivatma developing sinful desires and performing sinful activities and then put into sinful reactions in the form of miseries. That is what I know. But great souls like you can give proper understanding and deliver these suffering conditioned souls. Like that, he already stated in the 5th chapter only. Now, the same question in a way he is asking in great details. so that he will expect an elaborated answer for the question. So like that. So finally he says that please clarify my doubts. एतस्मिन् मे मनो विद्वन्
एतस्मिन् मे मनो विद्वन्
हिद्यते संकते
खिद्यते ज्ञानसङ्कते
अन्ना परानुडा विभो
तन्नः परानुदा विभो
कस्मलं मानसं महात्.
कस्मलं मानसं महात्. O great and learned one, my mind is greatly illusioned by the desires of distress of this nescience, and I therefore request you to clear it up.
So, O learned one, this mass of ignorance is afflicted my mind. O Supreme Lord, please destroy the great illusion of in our minds. My mind is afflicted by this strong hold of ignorance. Remove this illusion. Na stands for two people, Vidura and Maitreya, though it is in the plural. So basically, I have this doubt. Please clarify this. It is troubling my mind, my heart. Please clarify this, my dear Maitreya ji. So like that. So this is how Vidura raised an interesting inquiry about the Supreme Lord and Jiva. How both the Lord and Jiva, who are completely spiritual, coming in touch with Maya and performing material activities. One is interacting with Maya, another one is completely becomes subservient of Maya. So how is this possible? So please clarify this. So since we have discussed so much that Maitreya talking about the greatness of the Lord, etc. This verse we'll just discuss this verse. This is also connected to that greatness. Then we'll continue the answers in the next class. Sri Shuka Uvacha
Srisuka uvacha
Saitam Chodita
Saitam choditah kshetra
Tattva Jignasuna Munihi
Tattva jijnasuna muni
Pratyaha Bhagavachitaha
Pratyaha bhagavachitah
Smayan Ivagatasmaya.
Smayan ivagatasmayah. Translation. Srila Sukdev Goswami said, O King Maitreya, being thus agitated by the inquisitive Vidura, at first seemed astonished, but then he replied to him without hesitation, since he was fully God consciousness.
Sukadeva Goswami says, when Vidura, inquisitive about the absolute truth, asked Maitreya these questions connected to the Supreme Lord and Jivatman, Maitreya, becoming absorbed in the Lord, Bhagavat Chittaha, answered as if astonished, though he was actually without astonishment. Here the understanding is that previously we saw that in the second chapter, I suppose, when Vidura asked so many questions about the welfare of Krishna, Balaram and all the Yadavas unto Uddhava. Remembering Lord's pastimes, Uddhava went into trance for one Muhurta time. Okay? Something like that happens here. When hearing these two questions, Maitreya also goes into trance for some time. And then he comes out of the trance and answers. So like that. Thinking of how to resolve these questions, Maitreya remembered the Lord, Bhagavad Chitta. Then he got the answer. He does not know the answer sincerely. He went into trance and meditated on the Lord, then he got answer, then he came out. Externally acting surprised, he smiled to say, Oh, these are difficult doubts to resolve. However, he had actually resolved the doubts. So while hearing the questions, Maitreya thinking that, okay, these are very difficult to resolve. I can't resolve them myself. Then he immediately went into trance and in the trance he got answers. Then he came out of the trance, then answered. This happened to Maitreya. Just like in the past, Vidura, because out of separation from Krishna, he was in trance. But here, the questions are so, the questions incited the greatness of the Lord. Remembering the greatness of the Lord, he went into trance and then came out of the trance and answered. The same thing is mentioned in the Bhagavatam at two other places. Once in the 10th canto, 12th chapter. So, this happened after hearing that Lord Krishna killed Agasura. And then the pastime of killing Agasura was spoken by the Gopas after 1 year, as if it happened today itself. Because in between something else happened, which Sukadeva Goswami did not speak. He said that, okay, Lord Krishna killed, and then they played, and then they had prasad, they went home. And the boys described the pastime of Lord Krishna killing Agasura as if today afternoon only it happened. But actually, the pastime happened 1 year back. Then Parishit Maharaj asked, no, kaise? How is it that the boy spoke about the killing of Agasura after 1 year as if it happened just now? Hearing that question, Sukadeva Goswami goes into trance because during that 1 year, Lord Krishna performed Brahma Vimohan Leela, which is not possible for any ordinary jiva. This is a superhuman task. Remembering what Lord had done, remembering Lord's greatness, Lord's skillfulness, Sukadeva Goswami went into trance for some time. Then he, with great difficulty, he then regained external consciousness with great difficulty because of the loud chanting of the Lord's name by Narada, Vyasa, and others who were in attendance. Sukadeva Goswami went into trance, and all the audience are waiting for the answer to the Parishit Maharaj question. They began to chant Lord's glories. Hearing the loud chanting, Sukadeva Goswami came out of the trance and answered. In that answer, he explained Brahma Vimohan Leela, where Lord's skillfulness, greatness have been described. This is one place. And other place also same thing happened. Vishnu Radena Samprashno Bhagavan Badarayana Vasudeve Bhagavati Nimagna Hridayo Bravit. Thus questioned by King Vishnu Rata, that is Parishit Maharaj. The powerful sage Badarayani Sukadeva Goswami replied, his heart fully absorbed in meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva. This is from 80th chapter. Here, Lord's sweetness is explained. Parishit Maharaj asks, Lord is Dwarakanath, living in the midst of great opulences. And I heard that this Lord, the Dwarakanath, Rukmini Pati, worshipped the dirty feet of Sudama Vipra. ऐसे कैसे हुआ था? How is it that the Lord who is worshipped by Brahma, Shiva and all is personally worshipped by Mother Rukmini in his own palace, keeping Sudama Vipra on his own Simhasan, washed personally the feet of this Brahmana, who is no one in this world and who is poverty stricken. Why Lord Krishna did, how Lord Krishna did? That was the question. Immediately Sukadeva Goswami again went into trance, thinking the sweet pastimes of the Supreme Lord, how Lord becomes subservient to his devotees. He went into trance. And the entire Sudama Krishna Milan pastime. Something like that. Hearing these two questions, Maitreya Muni also went into trance. One thing is, out of greatness of the Lord, he went into trance. Other thing is to get the answer to the question. The question itself is so great, he himself cannot resolve. So he was meditating on the Lord. So something like that. So thank you very much. We'll stop here. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Bhakta ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.